what's up, guys? So I just got out of Toy Story 4. Now, this one was one of my most anticipated movies of the year, and the first three Toy Story movies are some of my absolute favorite films ever made. So going into Toy Story 4, there was this big expectation going into it, and going into this movie, I like going into and watching the movie for like the first two-thirds. I really liked it a lot. I think that it's great, the first two-thirds of the movie. The movie opens with this fantastic scene where, no spoilers, but there's this fantastic opening scene which is heartbreaking and horrible, in the best way. And then you have the two-thirds of the movie where it is Woody trying to get Forky back from Gabby Gabby, and Bo Peep joins him, and they reunite. And that is the basic plot of this movie. But as the movie went along, the thing I love about Pixar is that this movie completely, again, defied my expectations, because the third movie ended on such a note where you didn't need this at all. But I love the fact that the people making this movie wanted to make a movie warranted enough to like exist, even though this doesn't have to quote unquote exist like any sequel, like at all. But by the end of the movie, and the first two-thirds were great. I love the first two-thirds. At the end of the movie, I could barely even like hold it in, because this, I didn't expect. Again, I love Pixar with the expectations, where the company Pixar does things that you don't expect. You don't expect this type of movie to have things that it does in this movie. I love the fact that this movie does a lot of things different than the other three Toy Story movies, but it also is very similar. It's got that similar formula where, like, it is a similar formula to the first three movies. And this one feels kind of on its own, because it doesn't have like the full, like Toy Story 1, 2, and 3 are about the full arc with Buzz and Woody and Andy and like all the other toys. And in this one, it is now they were with Bonnie, and things are different than, like, these characters have a different viewpoint of like Bonnie's room, and these toys now are looking at it differently. And again, I loved how Pixar did that. It's not just immediately happy, like, it's not just the same like Andy's room was. These toys are going to be treated different, and they all are. And I did love that, because that is real life. These toys, well, real life when I'm talking about toys that come to life, but you know what I mean. It is real life in which this does not go the way you're expected. Like, it's not supposed to be, like, whenever they are now Bonnie's toys, they're not gonna be played the same way as Andy, and this is not the same kid. And the way that this movie does that, with just defying expectations and giving you something different, it really, like, different in which it's so many things you don't expect. The villain, Gabby Gabby, you expect her from the trailers to be just like another Stinky Pete or Lotso. She's not those. She's not those two characters, and I love those two characters, but she is not at all the same character. She is immediately thrown off as a villainous character. But as the movie goes along, it does it way different than the other two, where, like, this character, this villain, like, you feel sympathy for in a very strong way. And I'm trying not to say anything else, because I feel like that's kind of a spoiler, because, like, you feel sympathy for the villain. You really do in this movie, and it's really effective. And really love that. I love how the villain is done in this movie, and I loved all the original characters are great. I really loved Forky. Forky was a great new character that this movie went in a way where he was utilized way different than I expected, and he was really awesome. He was genuinely hilarious. I love the fact that this is a toy that is having an existential crisis where like he thinks that he's trash because he came out of the trash, and like he keeps trying to go to the dumpster, like or like anything he can, any type of trash receptacle, to go back to his comfort zone because he's a toy made out of trash and doesn't understand the world. And it's so funny, and it's also so elaborate in just how they work with how this character is in the world, and it's really really fascinating and genuinely funny. Tony Hale cracked me up throughout. Like he would just randomly say like I'm trash, like stuff like that made him really funny. And yeah, that sounds like it's just like a one-off joke that you can say a million times and people would laugh, but they always do it so cleverly. Like every time he says something like related to trash, it is funny every time because it's not exactly the same. So I really really loved and appreciated that. And now Bo Peep is returned in this movie, and she is awesome. I really love seeing Bo Peep return. I really love the fact that she is a different character than she was in the first two movies. Even though I loved her in the first two movies, she was the voice of reason to Andy's toys in the first two movies, and then of course by three she was sold, or whatever. She was gone, and in this one, now 9 years later, after she was gone, she has become a totally different person, and I love the fact that this character is modernized, but not in a way where it feels cynical or in a way where it feels like, oh, girl power. It's not that. It's trying to be, this is a character. This is just a character who is strong. And the way that you see her, like how she, whenever you see her in the movie in this time period, like it is such a refreshing turn for her too, because she's so likable and lovable, but she's got this tough exterior where like she's been out 9 years since like she's been gone from Andy's room, so like she has been out exploring the world, and I really think that that's a very cool and very effective way of toughening her up. And she was tough in the first two movies, but she was just in Annie's room, she was in Molly's room, she was just the lamp. Like she and her sheep were just lamps on a or porcelain toys on a lamp. So it's not like there was much to her, even though she was great in the first two movies. But in this, they really do give this character such, like, because she was barely in the first two movies, even though she made an impression. I love the fact that she's in this so much, and you really do genuinely like her. And it's so great to see Annie Potts again. And I really love that, even though Toy Story 3 had that realization that Bo Peep is gone and the toys are now without her, that was really sad. And I love how that's life. That's how life is. Like, you're not going to always have your friends, and she was gone by Toy Story 3 whenever it started. So I love that she wasn't in that movie because of the sacrifice. And in this one, it shows that Woody finds her, but the way that he does is so well done. Like, their first interaction is terrific, and it's so good. And whenever you see this reaction with both of them meeting each other again for the first time, is so different than what I expected, and it was so well done and just so awesome. And all the other characters that are in the other movies, like Buzz, Jesse, Potato Head, Slinky, like all these, and of course all Bonnie's new toys, they are all kind of relegated, but not in a way where it feels insulting to these characters. They're relegated because this movie is Woody's story. And you can argue the other movies are too, but this movie is Woody's story. He gets his full character arc from the other three movies and continues on in a way where, again, I just did not expect this movie to go this way. Like, with his character, with the other characters, with what they did with Bo Peep, with what they did with Gabby Gabby, the villain, with what they did defying your expectations. And I'm talking very vague because this movie is, I don't want to spoil it. And again, without spoiling it, the ending defied my expectations, and the whole rest of the movie was great and fun, and all these new characters were likable and fun, like Duke Kaboom, Keanu Reeves played, and Key and Peele playing Ducky and Bunny. These were all such likable characters, and Gigo McDimples too. Like, these are all funny, likable characters, and just by the end, I laughed. I really enjoyed all of these characters, all the new characters. I really love Woody's arc. I loved Bo Peep, loved Gabby Gabby. Love the ending. The ending just did something that I did not expect with a lot of different things. Like, it's not just one thing I thought differently, even though it's the big thing at the end, but there are other things too that just defied my expectations. And this one, there was a moment at the end of the movie where and this is spoiler free. I'm going to say this right now, even though it's going to kind of sound like it is, but it's not. There is the opening in the movie, there is a moment where something happens, and then it is repeated at the end of the movie. And I got the biggest lump in my throat because I just thought in my head, are they really going to do this? Is this really going to happen right now in this movie? And it did, because Pixar likes to not be average. Like, Pixar made an ending where it felt incredibly satisfying, but also it felt so like it would not happen. And I just love that ending, and it just blew me away. The first two acts are great, but the ending just really got me so badly. This might be my favorite movie of the year now. Really, I don't know how they keep doing it. They make 4 Toy Story movies, which are effectively kind of the same stories in each movie, but this one is just as great as the other ones, and I can't believe that. I can't believe a 4th movie, which so many people, and me myself included, thought this movie was going to be a shameless cash grab. But with the writing, with how smartly they use these characters, with how smartly they make the movie different, with how they have the ending, this is not a typical cash grab sequel. And by that, I mean all sequels are typically cash grabs. I'm not saying that this isn't made for money. It obviously is, like any other movie ever made. But it just blows me away with how much they really like to make this and put thought and care and love into this movie, and not make it just another soulless like repeat. Even though it does have repeats from the other movies. But the way that they did it was just so incredibly well done, and this just blew me away. Again, thank you, Pixar, again, for just blowing me away. That is my thoughts on Toy Story 4. If you guys have seen this movie, tell me down below what you think. I'd like to hear your thoughts. So, thank you guys so much for watching.